Well, greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society. Now, this is a special group of people in this society, and we, 50 years ago, decided that every dentist should know something about orthodontics, and if you work with children, definitely need to know it. And if you're a restorative dentist, we found out we did restorative dentistry and use their techniques and have a restorative dentist should learn how to do orthodontics, and you can do about half the work you do. You can bring the back teeth to the front and fill these places in. And if you're having trouble learning this, and you can get to the United States and get to the area in Grapevine, Texas, is right at the airport between Dallas and Fort Worth. And the hotels there will bring you out to our headquarters that are there in Grapevine. And they can teach you different ways of doing orthodontics. Normally we have different courses that go on and take it like that. Anyway, let's get back to this course, to this patient. And she was the daughter of a real close friend of ours. When we first came to this area and started working, and we worked on her. She's got more than one problem, and I'll cover those. And you've got to get at each problem and do something to solve that problem so it cannot cause a relapse of this case over a period of years. So I'm going to start trying to get back on it here. And here's the young lady. Now she's got a very straight facial profile at this point, and we're going to try to keep it that way. We do our best, so you have to be very reluctant to just take some teeth out. She may be missing some teeth, and so we'll have to figure all the problems she has. She may have 4 or 5 problems, and you got to go to the course of the base of each one and overcome these problems. And if you do, the retention is simple. But if you leave one undone, I can guarantee you when you lose a retainer, they're going to have some relapse in there if you haven't gotten that problem solved. Okay, here we look at her case. This is 1971, and she's age 11, and this is when I specialized or just quit doing dentistry other than orthodontics, maybe a little bit of it once in a while, but I did orthodontics from 1970, and I just gave up my practice of regular dentistry. Now here you can see she's got a closed bite, and some of the teeth are missing probably, and got some impacted teeth, and it'll show up here in just a minute. So I'm going to go through this whole case. It's going to take a while to do it. So we'll go and look at the other. Now here she is. This is 1993, and this was 1971. So 71, 81, 91, and 93, about 23 years after we started it, and it's hitting good, and our laterals and everything, and the profile is still out there. Okay. Now this would scare some people off, but when I decided to go after this, I decided we were going to try to do every case that came by, regardless of what it was. So if you look at these x-rays carefully, this is a deciduous tooth, and we've already lost the deciduous tooth here. These are permanent cuspids. They're coming in like this. Now this was before I learned something about follicular movement of the teeth, but I got those teeth down. Now this cuspid was coming in like that. The end of it was into the cortical bone down here. This one now was coming in correct, right here. And so in her particular case, we're missing teeth up above, and we're missing, we don't missing anything down here. So we're going to take out this tooth, but use this cuspid to get it into place here. And we take this one out and get this one over here, and this one will come back. We have to carry it over the roots of these teeth and bring it in. And we did a case variant of that years later for Dr. T. Bob Davis' son. And the dental school said they couldn't get it in, and we got it in. And she went to 2 or 3 other dentists, and he couldn't get it. So we attacked and did every case that came by. We did everything that was wrong to the best of our ability. I was out in a little area. There was no specialty there, no old surgeons or anything else. So we're going to be dealing with 3 impacted teeth, and the other one, we have to deal with it too, because we take this out and so move over. The follicle moves it over, but I wasn't aware of that at that time. And now up over here, we got one. We're going to take this tooth out, and this one is already missing over here. So let's get going. There's a lot of stuff here. We worked on it for several years, getting this in. So here is this impacted tooth, and we learned early on, 1970, I started doing orthodontics. I quit doing regular dentistry. Now, we went in and hooked and bonded this to this tooth. That's as far in as we could get. And we twisted that wire down, and we're going to pull it like that. And let's see, that tooth is a cuspid tooth right in here on the roots of these other teeth, and you can see we're going to go over these teeth. So when you got a tooth, if it's in front of the teeth, you leave the tooth alone and let it kick, let it move backward as you move the tooth under it and get it out. And you get it out here, then you can straighten that back up. These are permanent teeth over here, and it doesn't take the roots away. Once in a while it will, but you have to explain that. So we're pulling this tooth across those teeth, and this is 1972. And this one is coming along good. And just to remind you, look where it is over here, and look where it is a year or so later. We have it straight along here. Now we get it coming in, and here we'll have to sacrifice this tooth to bring this cuspid with a long root in. Over here we have to take this out, and we're going to move this one in there, and this one will come up in here. The cuspid is a much better tooth than the first bicuspid. I do not take out cuspids if I could possibly use them, and then take out the bicuspid. Now up here, we're going to eliminate this right here and bring this cuspid down, and this one down to all right, here we are in 1990, this is 73. It's 2 years after we started. She's 13 years old right now. This side has worked out good. we got the teeth in there. She had no wisdom teeth. There's no wisdom teeth developing. And this tooth that was way down here, we've got it up there. Let me go back and show that again. I'll back it up. This tooth was down over those teeth, and when we started out, it was over, it touched 3 of the teeth down here, and we pulled it over those teeth. And I did that in 1971, I started it. Now, here a year later or more, we had pulled it from here that it was touching 3 of these teeth. Pulled it back in here. Now we still got to get it over here. And so we take that tooth out. This follicle will help get it over here. Leave these teeth on a round wire and let them swing back and forth as you move this tooth into place. So we slipped it over there, and it's lined up like that. The root is to the front instead of to the back. And you really to get the root back to where the tooth, something like that. And this is still not really good. The upper teeth, now we've got the lower teeth in the place in my 93. Now this one, this follicle is pulling out here, and it'll push against this, and it'll guide it down, and we will take this tooth out, and we'll have the first biop of gum. Now let's see, that's 93. All right, here we is in 94. So we got those teeth out, got this tooth coming down here. This one's still up there, see? Go back and look. Let me take that baby tooth out right there and pull that right down into space. And down here, we've already got these teeth lined up pretty good. This is the right side, and it came in good, so we're going to shape it like we did those other teeth. Now the other tooth is there, and we finally got it down in place and put it up here. And you see the roots are long, strong roots on the cuspid teeth. And this was up there, tooth was kind of crooked and everything. Now these have come in down here completely. There's no wisdom teeth developed in this particular case, as far as I can remember. And this is age C16 at this point. We have finished, just about finished her up. This is 1993, and we have finished this case up this February the 23rd of 1993. We finished the case up. Now, look at where these things are and where these things are. I'm no special teeth. I never was able to get in orthodontic school, thank God. I learned I could do these things. I learned it just thinking about it and how you can do it and what happens. I learned those things, and I went to hear the best speakers in the world at the AAO annual meeting. I paid 3 times to get as much as the regular orthodontist. But I went there to really learn, and I learned how to do this stuff. And I swore that I would teach it to every dentist, regardless of where he was or who he was or what he did. And I have stuck by that for all these years. And that's working good there. That's the way we started out. These teeth were way down here, and you can go back and see we had a little bit of overjet and overjet and overbite, and that lets this young lady bite with her front teeth, and none of these teeth hit. She brings her jaw forward, so she's got a space here. She lowers it and slides forward, and the condyle back here, the condyle's up in the fossa. You drop it down and she brings it out, and so it allows you to correct the teeth here like they supposed to be, and that is how people developed. If nobody ever messed with their teeth and they nursed properly and did things, people's teeth turn out good. Now, so this is where we went. We didn't trim them up as good as we did later on. Okay, I have a lot of slides on this case. I was good friends of the parents, and so we watched this young lady for several years, and this is when we started her. This is her models here, so I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit and go through and show the whole thing. This was 1971 when we started. So here's the thing in the, just showing the teeth and how we figured out ways to do this. And I ran an elastic chain, or here this is elastic string. It has a, and it's good to use. And we did that back before we started using springs later on to pull these teeth in. But we used the same principle. Hooked it up back here and went in, pulling it up in this direction, right here. And she had these impacted teeth we brought in that way. And now we, even back then, we cut the baby teeth in half and did a pulpotomy on these teeth, you see. So we get this in, we save space underneath there for the other teeth to come through. Now this is that tooth was touching this tooth over here. And we came back later on, we did a case very similar to this for Dr. T. Bob Davis, who's a prominent dentist in Dallas, and his son had one touching the three teeth down here, and we pulled it in like that and did it. And so I had done a case like it in 72, and Dr. Davis's was probably somewhere in the 80s later on. And now we were going to do another video, but I decided to not. This was back when we put bands on everybody. We didn't have any brackets back then. And if you bend a brand down, and it would bend this wire down like this, and then the wire would pick the tooth up. So if you hit this tooth, it would bend that down, it would pick the tooth up. I started to do a video on that and show it, but that is, we don't have to worry about that too much now unless you're doing a tongue thrust and you're bending these teeth. If they bend that band down, it bends the arch wire, and then the arch wire isn't bent permanently, it shoves the tooth up. And so now you got a mess. You got to go back and take that off and straighten that out, then your wire would have to go up like that and pull the tooth back down in place. So that's one video you won't have to watch, but that's how you handle that same problem. You can put that tooth down. You look at that and somebody wonder, why in the devil, how did that tooth get up there? It got up there because this was bent down, it bent the wire, and the wire pushed the tooth up. All right, we straightened that thing, we got it straightened out and everything. Here we're opening the space for these impacted upper teeth to come through. And now we put the bicuspids in place right here, and we're gonna, she has no upper laterals, if I remember now, and so we're going to put a cuspid tooth in these spots right like that. And this is 1974, so it takes several years to do this. No school that I know of takes 3, 4, 5, 6 years sometimes to do a case on, start out from beginning with a child like this, and it takes, you can't speed it up because they don't have the teeth in there until you're down, way down the line with that. So anyway, 1974, we had just about finished the bottom teeth up, and we got that tooth back in place, you see. Now there's a cuspid here and a cuspid over here, but there's no first bicuspids here. I think we took those out to match up the upper. Now this is the tooth that was touching over here. We brought it over, we banded it, straightened it, and brought it up in place. Now this is, later this is a 70 something, and we opened up a space for that upper cuspid, and we'll shape it up like laterals, but I didn't do as good a job as we did on the case we showed before. We learned how to do it. Now here's an impacted tooth. We take electrosurge, open up a spot like that, don't go all the way here, and then we'll aspirate right there and go in and dry it out good and etch it and put the bonding material with a hook on it, and we'll pull that tooth in similar to what we do today with them, or we would have done when I practiced. Now this is the other side right here, and this one's coming in. Now there we're pulling this tooth down, coming in here with a rubber band, and we're pulling that tooth in. Now that pulls this side forward, and so this midline will probably correct itself by, as you pull this tooth down, you also get a tug on bringing these teeth forward as well as bringing this tooth down into place. I ought to show this case to Dr. T. Bob Davis, because that's the way his son, we did his son like that. Now, we will watch that tooth come on down into place. We bring it in. Now you're seeing the tooth, and we're doing it with a rubber band. Later on, we did it with spring, a metal spring. All right, we got it in there. This is 1975, so we've been treating this young lady for 4 years. There's no speeding this up and getting that to happen. She had several impacted teeth, and she's missing several teeth. So we've got the lower teeth now lined up good, and we've got all that in as we've been going for several years. Now here it is in 1975. We started in 71, and this is all pretty well finished on the bottom. And this tooth is still coming in. We made a little wire hook for it. Hook it as close to the tip as you can, and we're pulling it in as it pulls the lower jaw forward a little bit, and it kind of straightens out the midline some. So there the tooth is in place now, and then we'll have to come in. We get it in about like that, and we pull it down further, and we're going to have to rotate that tooth, and we had to figure out a way to do it, and we've got a way that we rotate teeth now that we show over many, many cases, and it's a little better than how we rotated this particular tooth to get it in here. But we studied it and learned how to do that tooth. Now, I bonded a deal on the tooth, and I hooked a rubber band over here and pulled the tooth in that direction. Now we hook something over here, we come around and hook to the bracket, and we turn that tooth around with an elastic chain. And now we'll shape those teeth to a lateral, but I didn't do as good a job as I should have. Well, I didn't know how to do it at that time. This is 1976, and we're still working on this young lady. And we got the cuspids in place. We bonded some hooks on our archwire. Now here are those two cuspids. We trimmed the edge of it, you see. And we learned you had to trim them in 5 different places to bring them in right. And this is how we finished her profile. It's a little bit on the flat side, but she's missing her wisdom teeth and her first bicuspids up here gone on the bottom, and she's missing the upper laterals, and we reshaped her cuspid teeth into laterals. Now here this is it, and T-Bob's son looks something like that. We brought this root in a little bit better. Now we've shaped this, we trimmed it off. This is a cuspid now. This is the first bite. We trimmed the sides, but it didn't look like I didn't take the top down like that. But that looks pretty much like a lateral. And we did both of them the same way, and they're hefty. They actually have roots longer than the centrals, and those are that's the way. And we treated that. We trimmed it out so this would, well, like the cuspids come down and it goes up this way. We trimmed this out a little bit so the bottom teeth could fit underneath here, and they could have that overbite and overjet like they have it. And that's the way we finished it. And this is 1993, and we started this case in 71. So we got 71 to 91 to 93. This is like 12 years. Well, let me see. No, it's longer than that. It's 71 to 81 is 10 years. From 81 to 91 is 10 more years. And now it's 93, so it's 23 years later. And this is the way her teeth held up, like this. Now, this is a tough case. You would not want to jump on one like this if you're just starting to learn orthodontics. You gotta know some things about it. But I had practiced orthodontics for a few years, and then just quit doing everything in dentistry except the orthodontics. So I knew pretty much what I was doing it, and I have that, and I swore that I would train every general dentist that wanted to, and any pediatric dentist ought to know how to do this. If you left this woman alone till she was 14 before you started, you'd have never got it done properly. All right. Now, this pulling this forward, as you pull this down, it's got this midline almost exactly where you want it. And she's got overjet, overbite, the whole ball of wax. And this is 1976 we got there, and it was still doing good. 93. All right, here it is in 76, 86, 93, nearly 20 years later, after it's still holding up, you see. Now, when she bites all the way together, this was 76 right here. You watch these teeth, you get them in the correct here, they'll erupt together here. Let's look at the way they were a while ago. See that tooth down in place over here. Let's go back, show you. You can finish with the teeth up above. They grow together, they move together in there. And that's a perfect example of that. There's so much to learn in this particular case. Wherever you are, I don't know who's watching this, who's seeing it, but people will do the same thing wherever you are. I've never seen people that didn't grow and you couldn't do this. And that's why I call this straight wise orthodontics. It's better than straight wire. Straight wire doesn't cover this type of stuff. And this is the way orthodontics is going to be done in the future. And I started doing this in 1971, a year after I just quit doing everything but orthodontics. And this is the way it ought to be done. And I think the people in my own organization are afraid, many of them, to tackle something like this. And I hope to God I can teach them. Now they're gradually beginning to do that, to learn that, and we can avoid the big majority of the surgeries you're done by doing the orthodontics like we show in here. And this shows you finished it up here, and you give it a little time and it moves together. And they move where they're all biting about the same time. Now there's no lateral teeth here, but you see I had to cup this tooth out just a little bit so that the lower teeth would come up here, so you would have a little overjet and overbite so that she could function properly. And you can learn this stuff. It just takes some effort and some thinking to do it. And the people in my own organization, many of them are afraid to tackle stuff like this. And I plead with them to do this. I can't stay around here another 40 years to teach them this. And so they'll only have the videos left here that shows them how to do this type of orthodontics. Now, even today, if you went into orthodontic school, I will bet you anything, you'd have a hard time finding somebody that could do this stuff that we started in 1971. How many years has that been since I started that? Are we going to have to wander in the wilderness for another 40 years before we wake up and start doing it like it ought to be done? And that's the way orthodontics ought to be, and I can guarantee you that's the way people will insist on doing that. And I want them to look at this particular case. This case has more in it than you can realize here. So thank you for watching. Let's see if this is finished up. I don't know. Now we've finished the bottom. We've taken out the first bars. You can't tell they're gone. He didn't have any wisdom teeth. Now this is years after. We had nothing in there. They stayed in place because we got at the cause for all of these things, and we got rid of the cause, and she wore a retainer, I'm sure, for several years, but maybe just sleeping in it or something like this. But here it is in 93, and from 71 to 93, and that's the last pictures I have of her. But I'll guarantee you, this lady will carry those like that until the day she's gone. And here she is, 91, 71 over here. Here she is, a grown woman. She's a school teacher, and she looks perfectly normal here. And it'll be that way when she's 98, as old as I am. And this is her older pictures. For God's sake, I hope people take this and learn how to do it. That's the way orthodontics ought to be done. All this mess of saying we're not going to teach pediatric dentist orthodontists, that is the dumbest thing I know of. And I would like to tell that to the people that are keeping them out of that. Now, that's from 71 to 93. Learn what we did there to do that. And that's the end of it. So I'm going to say goodbye. And I don't mean to be fussing at you, but I haven't got much time left to get this across. Is it going to be another lifetime before we're doing the thing right? I hope to God it isn't. So I've got to have somebody. A few people in our organization are trying to learn some of this stuff, but I have a devil of a time getting people to commit to that. They want to do the simple, easy stuff and not have to think to get this done. But this is the way it ought to be. And I plead with people all over the world, somebody pick this up and go with it. This is the way orthodontics should be done, and it should have been started 40 years ago. And I've lectured on it, and I did what they do, but video came along. Thank God the video came here, and we could show this to everybody in the world if they want to see it. And we've got about over 6,000 people have joined or subscribed to these channels. And I hope that these 6,000 will spread this out to people wherever they are, so people everywhere in the world can come in. The world is mixed up now, and we're going to have orthodontic problems with this, and you got to know how to deal with it. And everybody starting somebody off ought to know some things about it. If you don't want to do it, okay, let somebody else do it. Don't go stomping them in the head because they're doing orthodontics. It ought to be a part of dentistry. And that means from the temporal mandibular joint to they put you in the grave. You can straighten their teeth. Don't let somebody tell you you cannot do it. You can straighten adults till the day they die if you wanted to. And I think I could straighten mine now. 90, I'll be 97 April, and they would still go. See, so I plead with people, and I wish the people in our organization, the American Orthodontic Society, would take this seriously and quit this fooling around saying, well, we can't do this. You've got as much sense as I do about it, and you can do it. So I'm going to shut up and close up. I don't mean to be fussing, but I don't have much longer to tell people about this. And I hope somebody in our organization will take this case and put it out all over the world so that people know you can do this. I've been preaching it for years, ever since 1970, when I specialized in nothing but orthodontics. And I never got into the orthodontic school, thank God, but they would have taught me that I couldn't do this. And he can do it. And so I'm passing it on. So I'll see you later, and stick with our organization. We're going to, I have a wonderful teacher that helps me with the computers here, Reverend Oliver, and he is a wizard, getting these videos out to you. So I'm thankful very much for him. So I'll hang up here and finish this case.